Alright, so what's up everybody? I'm Music Man, and today I'm freezing my ass off. Okay, so it's really not that cold outside today. Well, I mean, it's cold outside, but my perception of that temperature is not really all that bad. It is 47 degrees outside today. That's going to be a touch colder than a lot of people will want to get out and ride. I've acquired the gear that I need to stay warm, and I picked up a few tricks along the road that I'm going to share with you today. So up first, we got number one, and it's number one for a reason, because it really is the most important. And that's going to be, make sure you're wearing the proper gear and have the proper clothing for your ride. Depending on the temperature levels, you're going to need a base layer, the regular street clothes, you're going to need an insulating layer, and you're going to need a windproof layer at a minimum. So it is 47 degrees today. It doesn't seem that cold to me, so I don't have a base layer on right now. But I do have insulated chaps, an insulated jacket. Of course, my cut's just an extra bonus layer. Thick, non-perforated gloves. These aren't winter gauntlets. They are a shorter glove. But they do great to keep my hands warm around here. I don't have any complaints with them. And of course, a full face helmet. Which that's probably one of the strangest things that I see in the motorcycling world, especially among people that ride larger cruisers and touring bikes. You don't see a whole lot of full face helmets being worn. You know, and I don't really see why. Especially during the cold weather months. I mean, if you're gonna wear a lid, wear what's gonna protect your head. Number two on my list, keep up with the maintenance on your bike. If your bike breaks down and leaves you stranded and it's cold outside, motorcycles do not provide any shelter from the elements. You're just in it. So that's the biggest reason why you want to keep up with your maintenance during the colder months. And that's not to mention what colder weather does to motorcycles or any vehicle really, just because it's colder outside. As the temperatures outside start falling, all of your fluids start getting thicker. So you're looking at your bike having to pump a lot harder to try to get oil to crucial parts of the engine when it's cold. If you don't let your bike sit and run and come up to operating temperature before you hop on it and start ripping down the road, I guarantee you the parts in your engine are taking extra wear and tear because they're not getting the oil that they need. If you have a water-cooled bike, you know, do you have enough antifreeze in it? Everybody's worried about coolant and keeping their bike, you know, from overheating when it's hot outside. I get it. And there's fewer people that ride when it's cold, so you don't hear as much about the need for the antifreeze side of your coolant. But if you got a frozen up radiator on your bike and you're trying to ride, it's still going to overheat in the wintertime. That's not good. You need that fluid circulating through your bike. And not to mention, cold weather is just harder on metal. It makes it a little bit more brittle, things are more prone to breaking, snapping. It's harder on rubber, the air is drier. Just all around, cold temperatures are rough on machines. And if you're not paying attention and taking care of the maintenance on your bike and you want to go ride it in the cold weather, you might be disappointed on the side of the road somewhere. Number 3 on the list. Stop and take additional breaks. This one's a real easy one to do. And believe me, your body's just going to thank you for it. Being out here in the cold, you can dress in plenty of layers. But you got to find that just the right sweet spot, and it's really hard to do on a motorcycle. And what I mean by that sweet spot is you want enough warmth that you're not uncomfortably cold to the point to where you're losing your dexterity, but you don't want to be so warm that you start sweating. A great way to combat the effects of the cold on your body is just take extra breaks and warm up. It really is that simple. You know, where before, riding in the summer, if you stop every hour to get off the bike and stretch your legs, I guarantee you're going to be a little more stiff in the wintertime. Stop every half hour. It's going to take you longer to get to where you're going, and I get that, but it's better to get where you're going and it take a little longer than to never get there at all. So don't be out here on your motorcycle freezing to the point that it's becoming dangerous to yourself. You know, take that extra break if you need it. If you got too many layers on and you start sweating, find you a place to stop, shed a layer, dry back off before you get back on the road. That sweat's just going to make you colder. It's not good. You know, if you're getting too cold, stop, warm up a little bit. Trust me, it's a lot better to be safe while you're out riding than to put yourself into the point of just misery because you want to prove to your buddies how tough you are. Just take a break. So if you're out riding and you start noticing your hands are getting cold, they're starting to ache, or maybe it's your feet. Your feet are starting to hurt and getting numb. Take that as a sign to pull yourself over and warm up a little. If you don't know what that is, when your hands start getting cold like that, what that is your body restricting blood flow to your extremities and trying to keep it in your core to help keep yourself warm. So take a break, let that blood flow come back to your feet and hands. Not to mention, you know, it's gonna help keep them warmer for sure, and you're gonna feel better. But what if you have an emergency while you're out on the road? If your hands are numb and you can barely move your fingers, or if you got your feet kicked out on your highway bars and your feet are so numb you can't feel your brakes and your shift lever, you have an emergency, what are you gonna do? That's right, you're gonna wreck. You're gonna wreck your bike. So don't get to that point. Keep those extremities warm. Another little added secret, if you happen to have heated gear, that's cool, awesome, wear it. I don't really feel that it gets cold enough here to warrant having heating gear. I don't. Oklahoma's got some crazy weather patterns, it does some weird stuff, but I don't really think it gets cold enough for me to need heated gear. Usually just extra layers and a nice windproof layer of leather over the top of me is about all I really need. But something that I have on this bike that I didn't have on my last one are my heated grips. And believe it or not, these things keep me on the road much longer than I could be on the road if I didn't have them. I mean, it's great. Obviously, they keep your hands warm. They go a long ways towards keeping your hands warm, and they're amazing. But the best part of it, and a little known secret, if you crank them just a little higher, just to the point to where it's almost too warm for your hands, that extra heat that you're pumping into your hands warms your blood. And guess where that blood's being pumped back to? That's right, straight back into your core. And in effect, they end up helping keep your core a little bit warmer, which helps keep you on the road a little bit longer. And my fourth tip is embrace the suck. You're gonna get to a point, if you're out riding in the cold, where it's just not gonna be fun anymore. You're gonna be cold, your hands are gonna hurt, you're gonna be trying to do everything you can to get that little bit of extra warmth. You know, you'll be tucking your feet in real close to the engine block, maybe taking your free hand and keeping it down on the engine like this, you know, riding all kinds of crazy. Or maybe you got a big fairing like I do, and you tuck down underneath it like this. And I don't know how well you can see the riding position of my arms, but it makes the bike very unstable when you start messing with your body positioning like that. And this is where embrace the suck comes in. Sit up, keep your posture good, keep your riding position, keep your hands on your handlebars, and get colder. I know it seems counterproductive, but you've got to keep that body positioning right to maintain control of your motorcycle, especially when you're already losing dexterity in your hands and your feet. And I know it sucks. I know it sucks. That's why it's called Embrace the Suck, because you gotta do it. And you know, we've all been there. I get it. I've been on my bike and been so cold, I'd rather do anything else. And that's weird for me, because there's nothing much I'd rather do than just be out riding my motorcycle. I smell fire. Oh, the smoke is heavy over here too. Woo. Some crackhead here on the south end trying to heat their house with a campfire. All right, and rounding out the list, we're coming up to tip number 5. And that's going to be to only ride at nighttime if you have to. I myself, I happen to enjoy a nice evening ride in the summer. Just get out, go for a little cruise. It's nice and cool once you get the wind moving. It's a great time. However, in the wintertime, it's just not such a good idea to be out on your bike after dark. And there's several reasons for this. Number one, as the sun goes down, so does the temperature. If you noticed, it's gotten darker since I started this video. And of course, my bike's gonna make me look stupid now, and the temperature's actually gone up 2 degrees. I think that has more to do with my bike reading engine temperature with the ambient, I hope. But normally you're looking at when it gets dark, the temperature starts dropping, and now it's 50. It's 3 degrees warmer. That's awesome. So normally when the sun starts going down, the temperature will start dropping with it, and it's going to get colder. Which, I mean, if you overdress to start with, that's not such a big deal. You know, if it drops 10-20 degrees, that's going to make a big difference on the gear you need to stay warm while you're out riding. And if you're not prepared for it, that can have some pretty bad consequences if you're on a longer road trip. In town, it's not so bad. Toughen up and go home, you know, but if you're out on a road trip and the temp drops 20 degrees, that's a kind of a big deal. So it's just something to be cautious of. You know, don't get caught out in those nighttime temps. With it being January, it's a little late in the season, but when it first starts getting colder outside, those first couple nights down in the freezing up here in Oklahoma, starts to get the deer moving at night. The deer strikes in this area significantly go up every year during the rut. So that's just something else to kind of keep in mind. When that temperature starts dropping, the old whitetail get out there on the road a little more and become more of a hazard to vehicles. And if they're more hazard to a car or a truck, they just chalk that up to added lethality for motorcyclists. And not to mention just the deer. There seems to be just more animals hit in general on the highways this time of year. So wherever you're watching this from, you may have something a little different, but our most common are skunks, possums, raccoons, coyotes, and the old armadillo. Those are all much smaller, but I have wrecked a motorcycle before hitting a dog, and I wasn't going but about 5 miles an hour at the time of the accident. Drop me a comment down below if you want me to do a video on that, and I'll kind of tell you about all the details that went into it. It's the only accident I've ever had. You know, I've dropped my bike a couple times, sure, but as far as having an actual accident, that's the only one I've ever had. So I'm going to do a short little stint here on the highway to show you guys another reason why I don't like riding at night in the wintertime. So we've already beaten that old dead horse of temperature falling as the sun's falling. You know, as the sun goes down, the temp goes down. We done beat that horse into submission. But something else to look out for. If you'll notice, at night, my headlight doesn't really reach all that far out in front of me. Now you can get better headlights for sure, and they'll extend your range. And I can turn my brights on, and I can see quite a ways further up the road. But, you know, if you're in a situation where you can't use your brights at night, and you got to resort to just running this light, how much reaction time do I really have for that headlight? I'm doing 70 miles an hour right now. And if something was up there in my headlight, I'm not going to be able to avoid it. Yeah, by the time I see it and see what it is, there's no avoiding that for me. So, the downside to that, there's more animals out on the road. Obviously, we're ready to discuss that. But we haven't talked about water on the roadway. Now, water's usually not such a big deal. You hit a little bit of water, just kind of watch yourself, trust your tires. You'll coast on through it. It should be no big deal. As long as it's not too deep, because then you get into hydroplaning issues. But that's an entirely different issue. What I'm talking about can be a very thin spot of water on the roadway. Now, if you're cruising along, we get sped back up here to 70. So I can see 2, maybe 3 stripes out in front of me. I'll figure the distance later and drop it down here at the bottom of the video. But how much reaction time do you think I'm going to have if I see a spot of ice sitting in the road because the temperatures dropped and what little water was on the road is now turned to ice? So there's just so many things that can go wrong with riding after sunset when it's cold out that I don't have any interest in doing it. I don't recommend it. In fact, I need to turn my brights on so you see. Oh, there's my turnaround. See how quick that turnaround came up? I knew it was coming, but I couldn't see it with my dims. I mean, I was able to get the bike shut down and get over for it because I knew it was there. But a surprise ice patch, and I'm going to turn myself into a stain. And I'm turning my brights on, and I don't care who doesn't like it. Because I don't like riding out here after dark. Upside is we haven't really had any standing water in the roads for a while, so I know I'm not going to hit any ice tonight. Plus, it's not cold enough to get me ice yet. So I mean, that's kind of nice. Still got to watch out for those furry little critters in the road, though. Nobody wants to hit a fuzzy speed bump. It usually doesn't work out too well for you. Alright guys, so I'm getting back into town. I'm gonna head home and warm up a little bit. Been out here long enough, it's starting to get kind of cold. It's time for a break, if you know what I mean. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, if you've learned something while watching it, give me a thumbs up, guys. Drop a comment down below if you enjoyed it. Or, heck, drop a comment down below if you think I'm some blubbering idiot on the internet. Yeah, let me know what you think. Your comments help make this channel better. So, until next time, guys, I'll see y'all out on the next ride.